Hey, all, Marc here, TekStack. Thanks for joining the webinar today. We're going to talk a little about helping your service-based business get ready for AI. And yeah, let's get started. Obviously, AI has dominated, a lot of conversation in the last year. I think most organizations we talk to are asking the question, how can I use this technology to make my business better? That may not be, in the form of replacing humans, but it's most likely in the form of enabling your existing humans to be more productive, do a better job with customers, to get more work done, all that kind of stuff. But we're also seeing, I think, a lot and reading a lot about these failures, these project failures, especially in large enterprise. And so MIT and Gartner and Rand Corporation, we're all kind of saying the same thing, that these projects are failing. But there's probably a good reason why these projects fail, the same reasons why normal projects fail. And we're obviously very clearly, if you follow the hype cycle kind of thing from Gartner, we're very clearly at a peak of inflated expectations, very quickly getting into the trough of disillusionment. But as with all technologies, we are going to come out the other end. So the question is, how do I get my organization ready for AI? And from our perspective, you should probably be thinking about things over a 2 to 3 year horizon, and not expecting to pick up a tool next week that's going to be the be all and end all to unlock your productivity as a company. The same reasons why projects are failing are the things that you need to kind of fix, before we, depend on tools to enable adoption. And so what is some of the stuff, probably overhype didn't help. We're quick out there to find a technology-based panacea to fix problems as quickly as possible. Workflow issues, so not really doing a great job defining the jobs we do have in an organization today. But to me, probably the biggest issue is information architecture. We've got really, really poor information scattered across multiple systems of record, and that makes it extremely difficult for AI-based systems to fix stuff or improve productivity. So is it all doom and gloom? I don't think so. I'm super buoyed. Some of the tech that's out there right now, I fully see agentic AI being adopted, maybe not by lagging organizations, but kind of being in the the main thrust by 2027. And so the question is, well, how do we get ready for 2027? I certainly see a point where if you look at some of the trends that are out there right now, probably the big one is that kind of whole idea of a conversational user experience. Where instead of interacting with a piece of software, take your CRM, instead of doing a search, finding a certain account, looking at all the information about that account on a form, we're just going to be asking an agent, hey, give me information about this account. Or even better, we're going to get into autonomous agents that'll say, hey, Marc, looks like you have such and such event coming up. I've prepared information to help you get ready. So the difference between a conversation agent and an autonomous agent is certainly going to be the trend. I think by 2027, we're all going to be thinking about software interactions in Teams or Slack, and not necessarily in front of a piece of software. To get there, the next thing we're going to see in terms of the trend is centralizing this information. So ideally, we're a central unified system of record. That's our whole proposition. But there's lots of vendors out there, and I think what we're going to start seeing is decentralized systems becoming more centralized for AI. So that could be with the advent of MCP, Model Context Protocol servers, or even just opening up apps to APIs. Lots of black box apps out there still. And then just picking your MCP client that you want to work with, Copilot Studios, one that we work with, but picking the thing you want to build stuff in, and making that thing be able to access all these different systems of record. So we're going to see that. And I think we're going to see, a trend towards vibe coding. So a lot of hype right now. Doesn't really work. You can get to a prototype pretty fast using, we use tools like regenerative pages and all these kind of things, in Power Apps. But, we're probably going to see the demise of these point solutions pretty fast, because you can write your own point solution in an hour or two. So we're going to see, I think, a lot of that low code adoption in the next couple of years from these great tools like Power Apps or UiPath and all these other things. So a quick shill on TekStack. So we work with service-driven companies, so B2B companies, technology service providers, business process outsourcers, professional services firms, basically any company that has to run projects. Revenue, the revenue models being service-driven or subscription-based businesses, delivering technology, delivering professional services to clients. Those are our customers. Our platform is a CRM, a PSA, a support ticketing platform, an invoicing or billing platform, a renewal management platform, all as a single unified system of record. So replacing your traditional CRM, PSA, billing ticketing systems, billing or accounting systems, and bringing them all together as a single system of record. All built on Microsoft stuff. The front end of interacts with all the productivity tools you'll be using today, like Outlook and Power BI and SharePoint and Teams. So that's what TekStack is. So the place we come from is Microsoft-enabled technologies, working with companies to provide a better way of doing business with their clients, right? And so kind of what we see in kind of the underlying issue we think is out there is that the information that you're going to need in 2027 to be AI ready as a business, you're dealing with information architecture debt today. So, case in point, you've got, let's say, 100 customers. Each one of those customers has 100 contacts. So you've got 10,000 contacts in your CRM. 1 million interactions between all of those contacts with your project managers, your sellers, your support agents, your accounting team, your product team, whatever, all the different points of contact within your business, doing business with contacts at your customer's business. 80% of that interaction today is in emails, shared documents, meeting recaps, phone calls. It's not in structured information, but we take all of that unstructured information. So your Outlook emails, your Teams meeting recaps, your Teams phone calls, all that stuff, documents in SharePoint, we bring all that information and we combine that with the structured data, opportunities, orders, invoices, support tickets, projects. All of that becomes a complete picture about your customer in one data store. Okay, so that's what TekStack does today. So that's what we built. It just happens to be the thing that we have. Now, the beauty is that when you combine that with AI, it becomes really, really powerful. It really unlocks the main issue that people are dealing with today, which is information architecture. It also addresses the next issue, which is workflow related, like how do I do my job related? Because we're so industry focused, we've already defined all the use cases. We've already kind of explained all the 80 to 100 things that your business needs to do. We've already built a platform to do all those things. So as a result, we collect perfect information and we have a way to store all these kind of interactions that go back and forth. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the tools that are available to organizations. And for me personally, in an area you can start today is document management. So one of the things we did in TekStack was actually organize how Teams works, and provide a little demo of this after. But basically, for every customer that you have or client, whatever, however you term them, think of them as having a team. So you might have 4 or 5 people in your company who need to work on that customer. So that customer here, I'll flip over to my demo right now, actually, really fast. So let's go to, I'm just going to share my screen and do it here and do right here. Okay, so here we have a customer. Our customer here is called Task Force. I've got all the information with that customer. I've got their orders, all the stuff they own or have ordered from us. I have invoices. All this information is sitting all in one place about this customer. I have all the communications that I've had about this customer all sit in one place as well. As you know, because we're tracking all the communication with this customer in one place. So we have all the emails that go back and forth, all the meeting recaps, all that sort of thing is sitting in one place. Right, so it's all sitting right there. I also have all of the projects and project information sitting here. So these are the projects we're running with them. I have all support tickets. Again, all in one place, all related to task force. But I also have documents related to task force. So these are like Word docs, PowerPoint presentations, spreadsheets that might have been collected by the customer. All that is also sitting here in one data store. Now, typically the failure for a lot of companies is, let's take let's say a Word example here. So unrelated document here, but here is just a random document for a customer. If I wanted to, let's say, attach an email or take an email attachment and save it somewhere, typically I'm not saving it in a data store that is accessible to other people, right? So one of the things that we do is, create these kind of sites for each of the customers. So I can go in and I can go and save this document to the task force. So I'll save this right here. Delete it in a quick sec, so that when I save this document from my email or I generate the document from Word from scratch, I need to save it somewhere. That information needs to find its way back into the central store, right? So when I go in here and I'm going to see that order document that I had sent is sitting right there. So everything I do locally, everything I do in Windows Explorer, everything I do from Outlook saves to a common site. That site is available in one place. Not only is it available here, it's also going to be available in Teams. So I'm just going to cancel this, open it in the web app, and what we'll see is that this customer also has a common Teams store, and so of course, Microsoft's going to take a second to load. I should have had this loaded already if I was smarter. It's probably fighting the fact that I have Teams locally and I'm trying to use the web here. So here we have the task force channel. I've got all the files that were on my local Windows Explorer, in my CRM platform. They're all in one place, including this new document I uploaded a minute ago. Everything, again, is in one place. Why is this powerful? Well, a few things. One, I'm going to open up something called Copilot Studio. Actually, I probably have it open already right here. So let me take over Copilot Studio, and so if I wanted to create a, why is this all weird? Create a new chat, I can do so very easily, right? So I can when I ask it, hi there, trying to ask what can you do, I can go into work mode and web mode, right? So this is a very simple use case that you can use today. The problem with work mode is that it's a very powerful feature in Copilot Studio, but the main disadvantage is that it can only see what it can see. So if you don't have a perfect information architecture, when I do a search like tell me how well my projects are doing, something like that, it wouldn't know where to necessarily look. And so the having the information stored in SharePoint the way I just showed you in that centralized store means that anytime somebody's in work mode asking Copilot a question, it's going to know to pull that information fully back by Windows Entra. So that is a really important feature of having a centralized information store. The next thing I wanted to kind of show is how that relates to actually building agents. So in Teams, so I go back to Teams really fast. We have this idea of these agents, and these agents will be just Teams chats. So here I have one called Opportunity Creator, and I created it. Here you can see the prompts. Create a new opportunity. So I want to create an opportunity. Here's what the prompt should look like. So I can essentially, very simple use case, but create an opportunity directly from Teams. I don't need to go into my CRM to do that. So I can, build agents like that, and you build those agents using tools called Copilot Studio or Azure AI Foundry. And again, Azure AI Foundry is going to want you to tell it where to look for information. So for example, that Opportunity Creator agent, I'm going to show you how we created it really fast. I'm able to define knowledge for it. And the knowledge that I told it to look at is a Dataverse table called contact and account, and a Dataverse entity called opportunity. And you can see here, if I go to Power Apps, which is where and how we build TekStack, here are all the TekStack tables. We have hundreds and hundreds of them. And one of the tables that we would have is, for example, opportunity, right? So all these tables like project and cases and opportunities and activities and other ones like AI insights. This one's a cool one, where we store all the meeting recaps. All that is available for your future agents. So for example, if I wanted to add knowledge, I'm going to tell it to add a Dataverse table, and I'm going to tell it specifically to look for AI insight. I can add AI insight into this agent. So this agent will know to pull a data from the AI insight table. And I can also tell it to pull from SharePoint locations. Again, back to that information store that we created. I'm able to apply that information store both for today's use cases with Copilot Studio, but also in the future when you're creating your own agents in Copilot Studio or Azure AI Foundry. Now, ideally we'll be able to, deliver a lot of these agents out of the box, but unfortunately that's not always the case because there's a dependency from customer to customer on the quality of information that's there. So we quite often are building agents that are specific to the customer, very little ability to rinse and repeat on some of this agent deployment, but the general concepts are there. You can also use what's kind of cool is you can add tools, and these tools can include connectors. So we have a bunch of these connectors, like for example, flows. So we can build all these Power Automate flows. We have hundreds and hundreds of Power Automate flows that have already been written in TekStack. You can use those flows as triggers or as actions for autonomous agents. So for example, a trigger might be a new AI insight or meeting recap was created. Look at the meeting recap, decide if I should create an opportunity for that seller. If I create an opportunity, present write an email that should go to the prospect based on the meeting recap. A seller would never have to do any of that manually. That would be done automatically, and you can do so building these agents. Same with projects. Project manager comes off of a meeting recap on a project update. We've already built this agent, but it's take all of the meeting recaps, take all of the action items, fill out the RAID log automatically, then summarize that meeting with a meeting recap for all the attendees. So we automate a lot of that kind of project management flow as well, all building through these agents. So I'm going to flip back here to my deck. I just want to show the software really quickly and talk about some of the capability there. But probably the most basic start starting point we need to get to with some of this technology is just building a better information store, just being able to get that information in one central place. This is a tech debt that we're all dealing with, but if we fix that today, in the next year, you're going to be able to create more and more agents and move more and more user experience into the conversation. And we think TekStack's in a really good place to get you there. Combine that with some of the Microsoft technology that's out there. If anybody's interested in learning more, we've built a pragmatist guide to adding AI in 2026. It's a guide that kind of explain all the the steps to get to a perfect spot within 12 months. And we don't think a 12-month horizon's, a long horizon to really think about probably one of the biggest evolutions in technology. So if you have any questions around how we can help you get there, let us know.